Diego Martinez was born in Uruguay, South America, and came to the United States when he was 6 years old. He has worked in a lot of different jobs over the years. When he was younger, he started working as a busboy and dishwasher, then became a cook. He even worked at a lumber mill for many years. Diego worked in the auto industry for 17 years. He started as a salesperson and worked his way up to the general manager. He has helped a lot of dealerships grow and be profitable, and now he is a small business owner himself. Diego takes pride in providing for his family and living the American dream, but most of all, he is proud to be an American. Welcome to the Modern Assyrian on ANB SAT. My name is Carmen Morad. My special guest today is Mr. Diego Martinez, candidate for governor for state of California in the 2022 election. Welcome to the program, Diego.
Carmen, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you guys.
So you are starting your election for governor for the state of California earlier this time. We are during a presidential election in 2020, but how wonderful it is for everyone to get to know you and understand your values and why you are running for governor. What has prompted you to nominate yourself to run for this state of California during such a pandemic and such challenging times, Diego?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I am running. It's because of where the state is. We're in a crucial time right now where you're looking at the state that is being closed down. Our economy is being shattered. Small businesses, just like myself, are going out of business. So it is time for somebody to stand up who actually understands what it's like to own a small business, a big business, and say enough's enough. Our economy has taken a tank from where it should be. We have placed our values and our trust in a lot of career politicians, and I believe it is time that the working man, somebody who actually understands what it's like to get up every morning, wonder if we're going to make enough money to pay the bills this month, to actually step up and take the reins and actually say enough of the politics. Let's worry about the people of the state, the taxpayers, and the people who are here in California for a better future. That's why I'm running for a candidate for governor. It's just frustrating to sit back, idly watch what's going on with our state, and nobody has our best interests. It feels like we don't have anybody representing us on either side of the party right now that really cares about us and the working class, the people who are out here every day struggling to make a better future.
So those are very important components of why people vote. However, advancing in the 21st century as we are, Diego, voters have access to news and information almost immediately. Do you think ideology plays a role, or is it what people are going through, all the things that you just mentioned in their everyday life?
I think everything plays a role to a certain extent. I think when we come down to what's going on, everybody cares about what's going on in our lives today. How is what's going on going to affect us today and tomorrow in our future? Right now is a time that the media, the news, everybody puts their own share and their own spin depending on what channel you look at. And that's not fair and it's not right. I think we need to actually go back to reporting the news of what it is, whether you like the party, whether I think it's just about being honest and straightforward with people. So I think everything that's going on today has a play in our future. So I think we have to take a look at that. It's like we're repeating history in a sense, and we didn't learn from history. So it's time that we need to move forward, and we need to understand where we're headed.
So, Diego, let's talk about the top 3 priorities that your platform is for your campaign. COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on our economy, on our education, on the future of the way that we educate our children and our school system. But most importantly, let's talk about public safety. Public safety as of right now, that in these civically unrest times that we live in. For example, What does defunding the police mean to you, and how would you talk to someone who has concern about what's going on, for example, in Portland, Oregon? How would you resolve that issue if you were the governor of the state of California?
Interesting question. I don't believe that we need to defund the police, first of all. I tell everybody the same thing. You want to make a difference, get involved at your county level, get involved when we're electing these sheriffs and chiefs of police. We need to educate our police department, but we need to have law and order. How would I deal with the problem in Portland? I don't think I would allow the problem in Oregon to get so escalated to where it did. I believe in law and order. I believe that it should have been handled right away. It should have never been allowed to have a six block radius that they basically took over and owned. I think the government staff there did a poor job on handling the problem up front. I believe in peaceful protests. And that's what it needs to be, peaceful protests. We all have the right, and that's what we're all in America, the freedom of speech. I think once it got out of hand, action should have been taken care of. People should have been taken care of right then and not let it escalate the way it did. I think that was one of our biggest major problems that happened. We had actually took law enforcement out of the equation and let people run wild, destroy small businesses that have absolutely nothing to do with what was going on. We let people loot, riot, burn down buildings that should have never happened. Those people should have been accountable, gotten that day and taken care of at that moment, not let 3 or 4 months go down the road and say, hey, we have a problem. We had a problem from the beginning. And if we go back to the root of the problem where everything started, it should have been handled better at the beginning so none of this would have happened.
I see. Public safety and the economy and homelessness are really some of the top talking points when it comes to voters. How would you handle the homelessness situation in California? We are 39.5 million people in a very overpopulated state, over 58 counties. Each county has its own programs to deal with homelessness. But at a state level, as a governor, how would you implement programs that have to do with this really problem of homelessness?
That's the second issue I'm running on my campaign is the homeless problem in California has gotten out of hand. SB 640 is sitting in the Senate of California. It's been there for over a year now, waiting for our governor to sign it. SB 640 allows the mentally unstable people, the people who have mental ill problems, to be able to put in a facility to get those problems taken care of. So our biggest challenge is now getting the bill signed and having the facilities available to be able to take care of the mentally ill and the mentally unstable. That's step number one for a homeless problem. Or step number two is the rest of the people. I don't believe that we need to go and buy and keep buying hotels because that's taking somebody's livelihood away. Because there was an owner, there were people occupying this, they were making income. But why don't we look at the properties that the state already owns? The old military bases, the old hospitals are still available. We can take the money that we're spending on hotels and motels and getting these people out of there and fixing those buildings for accommodating the homeless that are homeless, but with the requirement that there's a rehab center, that there is an alcohol and drug rehab for them available. We also want to teach on-the-job training at these facilities so that these people have an address, also have the ability to get back into the workforce and be positive members of society. I think we need to give these people a hand up, not a handout. So with that being said, we need to be able to have the facilities available where these people could come and feel safe, because that's the number one thing. Everybody has to be able to feel safe. I don't care where you're at. I don't care if you're homeless. I don't care if you own your house for a million years. Public safety is number one, and it has to be number one. If you, me, my son, my daughter, your grandmother, whoever wants to go outside and walk, they should feel safe at any time of the day or night to be able to walk. So bringing these communities together with the homeless people, they have to feel safe. We have to offer them the programs that they need to be clean. We have a lot of shoot-up clinics, what we call them. San Francisco has them, LA has them, Sacramento has them, where you go and you shoot up your drugs. Those clinics got to go. We cannot keep buying people to do bad things. We need to help these people get the help that they need, whether it's mental health, alcohol help, or drug help. So I would suggest that we close the centers where you can go and get your own needles and do your drugs and turn those into a rehab center, or just close them. We don't need that kind of atmosphere. If you've been down to San Francisco lately, or Turlock, Stockton, Modesto, it doesn't matter where you go, Fresno, Bakersfield, LA, the amount of homeless people that are out there is sad. But it's even more sad that our government hasn't done anything to help these people get out of the street and give them the help that they need. I had an opportunity to talk to somebody who was homeless the other day, and they said, I'm not on drugs, I'm not on alcohol. But when the recession hit, I lost everything. And because I don't have an address, I have not been able to find a job. Well, that's not fair to that person. And you get one bad month, then another bad month, then another bad month, and they start moving around. Now they're loitering, they're going to jail, they're in the system, so it's hard to get them out. So my proposal is to take the old abandoned buildings that we already have, take the money that we were using to buy these hotels, let's refurnish these buildings, let's get these people into a comfortable living situation where they have the programs to help them get better and be able to be productive members of society. I think that's how we're going to fix the homeless problem. We don't need to wait for the federal government to help us. This is a California problem. And one thing that you'll hear me say a lot is, it is time that we take responsibility for what we have created. We don't need Big Brother to help us. We need to take control. Our representatives need to be responsible for their actions. And that's what you're going to get with me. The buck stops with me. If there's a problem, I'm in Sacramento. You're more than welcome to come on down. We're more than welcome to sit down and talk, because that's what it's going to take to make a difference. We need to unite California and be able to have dialogue. You see a lot of the protests going on at the Capitol right now, and our governor's nowhere to be found. Well, you're the leader. We elected you to be here. Show up, have a comment, but don't put people in jail because they're voicing their opinion because we talked about the economy. We need to get the economy going. A lot of these people who are out there protesting right now are protesting for the simple fact that we can't go to work. We need to be able to get our livelihood back. COVID-19 has done a tremendous number on this country, but especially on our state. How I would resolve that issue would be exactly what I just said. We go to county and we talk to the representatives of that county. We have town hall meetings and we all come together for the right decision. What is the right decision? Is a restaurant being open the right decision, or is takeout the right decision, or having people eat outside the right decision? Maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe we allow the restaurant owners to help us come up with the solution instead of me saying this is the way we do it, because that's not always right. We have 58 counties in California and 58 different counties and different situations of what's going on with COVID-19. So we have to work with the business owners, with each county, to break down what's the best method. But one of the best methods is to reopen California and allow our tax dollars to go back to work so that we can get out of this deficit that we're in. Let's stop counting on the federal government to bail us out. And I keep saying that. We as a unit, we as Californians can pull this together and be able to bounce back and be able to pay some of that deficit that we're in, but we have to be open for business. Now, the safety of that is everybody's concern. We're all concerned about, am I going to go outside? Am I going to catch something? Do I really need to wear a mask? Is a mask really that important for us to wear? We're in America, and most of us, a lot of people listening in your channel and where I come from, we're all immigrants from a different country. We come to the United States for freedom, and the freedom is freedom of choice. Whether it's choice for education, whether it's choice for whatever we want to do, and we come for an American dream, which is freedom. We, as immigrants, I think understand that better than anybody who was ever born here. What a great honor it is to be in this country. So I believe that if you want to wear a mask, it is your God-given right to wear a mask. If you feel you don't need to, I also think that is your right and your ability not to. It's a kind of gray line because a lot of places say, hey, you can't do business with us if you don't have a mask on. Well, you got to respect that. And you put a mask on, you go do business with them. And when you come out, you take your mask off. But I believe that we all need to be united in the decisions that we make and what is best for the state, not what is best for one party or a politician, because that's not right. That's what we've been living under. And look what we have now. So we need to make a difference and we need to make a change.
Thank you. You mentioned immigrant communities, and you're absolutely right. It is a privilege and an honor to be an American, whether you are born here or you're a naturalized citizen, to be able to be involved civically, to be able to register to vote and participate in this great democracy. Let's talk about the next two topics, Diego. One would be immigration reform. I know you have some very strong opinions on that. And the other one, of course, would be um, the new governor executive order to make sure that all ballots will be mailed to all active voters. What is your opinion on both of those topics?
Let's start with the lighter one. Let's start with the ballot right now. How's that? Because my immigration reform program's for everybody, and I want to take some time with that. Um, the mail-in ballots. Wow, that's I believe, and I get mine mailed in to me, which is funny, and I always have. It just makes it easier for me to vote that way. But one thing I've been doing for the last few years is I'll do my mail-in ballot at home because it gives me an opportunity to actually look and see what each proposition is and what it fits me and my family and my surroundings better. So that's a great idea there. The bad idea is sending it back in the mail. I have never done that. I actually go to the ballots where they're actually somebody's in line and I drop my ballot in there. Then I make sure that it gets to the right hands at the right people. So there is no, it got lost in the mail. So I believe that if you're getting a mail in ballot, that's a great idea. Take the time, vote the way that your heart desires, which way you want to vote. That is your right and your privacy to be able to do. But when you're done, seal it up and take it to the ballot place and drop it off in a secure ballot authorized voting facility. And I think that's the best way to handle that objection right now.
I think that's a
So
wonderful idea. Thank you for sharing that because there are no polling stations during this election. And we living in Stanislaus County just had a long conversation with our voter registrar where there's going to be satellite offices to have more opportunity to do what you just said, which is to either drop off the ballot, to re register to vote if need be for any reason, whether change of name or changing one's political affiliation or for any other reason. So it's a fantastic idea to have the ballot at home to study it, to make sure you have the opportunity to really cast your vote on the issues that reflect you and your values, but also to be able to actually go in and maybe get that sticker that says, I voted, and pick that up as well.
that was one of my proudest moments when I became a U.S. citizen. It's crazy as can be. One of my proudest moments was being able to actually go down and vote and have my opinion heard. And I couldn't wait to put that little sticker on me. Hey, I voted after being in the United States for 30 some years. It was a awesome feeling. And what I want to tell all the communities out there is your voice counts. Your vote counts. But you have to go out there and you got to vote and you got to be opinionated about this. This is something that in our countries, some of us didn't have that opportunity to do, or we were in a different regime that didn't allow us to be able to have the freedom to pick our elected officials. So I believe that it is a great honor for anybody who can vote to go out and vote. And I know a lot of people take that for granted, but our voices need to be counted and need to be heard, especially being from an immigrant background, because we have an opportunity to change our future and our fellow citizens' futures, which it's different countries. Me and you kind of talked when we started, and I told you I got introduced to the Syrian community, the Indian, the Pakistan community in 2001 when I first got a job in Modesto. And it was probably one of the best experience that I've ever had working with the Syrians and Pakistanis and people from India. Great people, hardworking people, sometimes undervalued of how much they bring into our community and how strong they are when it comes to family, religion, stability. It has been an honor to be able to work with everybody and get to know their culture. So I am extremely honored to be able to be here with you and talk about this. And that brings us up to the immigration reform program. I'm an immigrant. I came from Uruguay when I was 6 years old. So in today's days, you'd be considered a dreamer. It was under the Ronald Reagan administration who helped people like myself become green card holders a little bit easier than normal. So I am very thankful for the late Ronald Reagan who did that for me and my family. I became a U.S. citizen in 2008 because it's funny. I had a green card and I was scared I was going to get deported from the United States. That's a crazy feeling to have, that you're legal, but you're scared to go to the store. You're scared to get pulled over because at the time, Governor Pete Wilson, I believe, was the governor of California, and he issued SB 187, which at the time, if you had a green card and you got pulled over, you had to show it. Well, what happened if you don't show it? What happens to you? It was a scary time for me, being basically raised in the United States, fluent in English, went through school here in America, don't know my country very well, to think that I'm going to get deported to a land that I don't know. I mean, it got crazy. So I went and got my U.S. citizenship, so those problems were over. But when I reflect back, is how many of us have friends and family who are dealing with the same thing? How many of our friends and family right now are here illegally, period? But they had to escape their country. They had to come here for different reasons. They just came for a better future like the rest of us. Hardworking people, but go home, come home. Go to work, come home. Don't want to do anything else because you don't want to get pulled over. You don't want to get in any trouble. You're a law-abiding citizen. And it's not fair that you're here. You may own a business. Your cousin may own a business, and you're scared to go out. So I'm proposing an immigration reform program that benefits all of us as a community. Doesn't matter what country you're from, it's going to benefit all of us. And this is how I have it laid out for it to be able to work. Our number one thing is we got to remember this. So I don't want anybody to think I'm misleading anybody, please, because I'm not. We have to start at the state level. Immigration reform program is a federal thing. So we got to remember that. But we can start at the state level, have me represent every immigrant, every person who's here illegal in Washington, to be able to create California as the flagship. California's always been the leader in a lot of stuff. Why not? Why are we not the leaders in immigration reform? Because there's a lot of more illegals in California, other than probably Texas and Arizona, that need our help. So the step number one would be to get the federal government to approve what we're doing, get us to be able to issue a work permit. So if you're here illegally, if you're here under the DACA program, it doesn't matter. You come in, you apply for a work permit. Everybody's going to get granted a work permit, no questions asked. That gives us 3 years to be able to do the background checks on everybody and make sure that we have the right people here, because that's important too. Okay, let's make sure, I said public safety is number one, right? So we have to make sure who is here. And then we have to be able to open up the people who qualify under the work permit, that does their background checks. They start paying taxes just like the rest of Californians do. And we'll get that to here in just a little bit. So what happens at that point is you have 3 years to do all your paperwork and get yourself situated. We also have to be able to make it easier for you to get a green card. Now, when I came to the United States, our green card was a no-time waiver, which meant that we never had to renew our green card. Well, because I had a picture from when I was 6, 7 years old, it wasn't valid anymore. When I tried to do a new green card, they said, well, it's only good for 10 years. Well, that's not right, and that's not fair. A lot of these people who have a green card may never want to be a U.S. citizen, and that's their choice, because they might have ideas about going back to their country. They might have ideas of, hey, I'm a patriot. I love my country. I want to be a national from my country, and I don't want to be a U.S. citizen, and that's fine. But they should not have to keep spending money every 10 years to renew their visa. That's not fair, and that's not right to these people. A lot of these people are living paycheck to paycheck, and it's hard. So they become illegal because they weren't able to renew their green card, because financially they just weren't able to do it. We should never have that burden on anybody who's paying taxes and trying to be a good society member and try to bring the state together. That is the wrong thing to do. So we allow people to have a solid green card so it lasts them. That also opens up the door for them, if they choose to, become a U.S. citizen and be able to bring their family, be able to go visit their family. One of the saddest things I heard, and this happened about 6 months ago, somebody's grandfather died. The two grandchildren could go, but the two uncles couldn't go back to their homeland because they couldn't come back. That should never happen. We have got to help everybody who's here. I'm not talking about deporting anybody because we have 10 million illegals in the state of California that we can't deport. We count on these people to help us make a better future. We count on their services. We count on what they do for work to make California what it is. So how does that benefit the person like myself, you, the other people who are already Californian taxpayers, who are already U.S. citizens, who have been struggling in California? Well, the beautiful part of this whole thing goes to the third reason why I'm running, and it's tax reform. So we have 2.5 million people right now working illegally, which means they're not paying their fair share of taxes. And you have a bunch of programs that go out to the people who are here illegally, and you hear it on the news all the time. So what happens is this: once you give everybody a work permit, now they're paying their fair share of taxes. So now you got a full amount, 100% of the people working, 100% of the people paying taxes. So what does that mean? We can take our state taxes from 13% and bring it down to 9%. If you bring 9% back down to the average person gets 5% back in their pocket every payday. So you're making more money. A lot of the free services that we're giving, we can audit that money and put it in the right places so it doesn't cost the California taxpayer not a penny more. My program is to reduce taxes so we can make a better living and have better employment. So how does that help the middle business, right? Because a lot of us own small businesses and we get really taxed. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think, oh, you own a business, you're making a lot of money, you're doing this. Well, we get taxed a lot more than most people. And the reason is because we don't have big corporations in California. If you really look at California, we have one car manufacturer left. We have a lot of Googles and internet kind of systems, but we don't have manufacturing jobs. You're from Turlock, I believe, right? Or Stanislaus County. I'm up in Tuolumne. When I first came up here in the late 80s, there were 3 or 4 lumber mills running around here. So people had good employment, and people used to drive from Turlock, used to drive from Merced to come up here to work, and they were good paying jobs. Well, the lumber industry took a hit in the early 90s, and what happened is they got taxed out of California. Well, when they got taxed out of California, we lost a lot of jobs. And after that, if you look at our wildfires, they have gone crazy. Well, you can't contain a wildfire in 2 weeks anymore. Now it takes 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. And a lot of that is because our forests have overgrown themselves and nobody's maintaining. My ideas is to bring corporations back. And one of them is to bring the lumber industry back to California, cut some of the red tape so they don't have to pay so much in taxes. But the taxes that they're paying, we can help the middle business, the small businesses, because now we have more people paying taxes. So we could do a tax relief for the middle class and the middle business owners, the small business owners, because we have bigger corporations. Well, bringing something like the lumber industry does twofolds. One, it creates better jobs with better wages. Two, it helps thin out our forests, not clear cut them, okay? Because I don't believe in that. But I think in keeping the forest clean, there's a lot of dead lumber, and that's what happens. When the fire hits, it spreads really bad because there's a lot of dead wood and the grass is overgrown and nobody's maintaining it. Well, the lumber industry will maintain our forests. It'll thin them out, keep them better, and we'll have roads where we can actually go in there and fight a fire in half the time of what it's taking right now. We all know what happened to Paradise here in California. It's gone. It got overburned. But if we had maintained our forests better, that may not have happened. And that is worth bringing that industry back to help just our safety and our way of living. Not only that, how many more jobs would that create? How much more tax revenue would that bring to the state of California? And can we relieve other tax purposes that people are paying right now? So those are our platforms for running for governor in 2022 is immigration reform, which is dear to my heart right now because of everything, because where I came through, and I understand what it's like to be here illegally. I also understand what it's like to go through the process. Tax reform, because I'm a California, I pay taxes, and I'm getting taxed out of California. I want to bring businesses back to California and be able to put more money in our pockets instead of losing it to the government. I think if you work for your money, you should be able to keep it in your pocket. Do we have to pay taxes? Of course we do, but it has to be a reasonable amount to make a living. And my last reason, and I think it's something that we all share in common here, and I don't care where you live, but if you go out and you see the homeless people, A lot of it wasn't their problem. A lot of it was fed through the economy. A lot of them have mental ill problems. Some of them have alcohol and drug problems just to be able to cope with this. The humane thing to do is to help these people out and look at our own backyard before we start looking at other nations and other worlds. It's funny, you see the commercials about other countries. Oh, send $20 here to help this kid, to help this, to help that. I'm not saying that's a wrong thing, but I think it's time that we look at California and we fix our problem. And our problem with the homeless, the hungry, is one of the hardest things that we need to face. And as Californians, we need to be together and fix the problem together.
Thank you, Diego, for that very passionate response, especially speaking about your own personal experience as an immigrant, as a young boy that came to this country. And you are living the American dream. You are a successful businessman and you are civically minded. And you mentioned that you worked in Modesto and you have come in contact with members of the Assyrian community and other diverse cultures as well. And that's what makes California what it is, a diverse mix. And that's what makes this state so rich. It is because of all the diverse involvements and connections that we have. But let me tell you a little bit about the Assyrian community. It is becoming more and more mobilized. I know you still have friends that are Assyrian from the Central Valley, very civic-minded, mobilized entrepreneurs, business owners, scholars. At California State University Stanislaus, we have the Sargis Modern Assyrian Heritage Studies. We see the number of businesses growing. We see Assyrian students that are reaching out for higher and higher education. And so this is why it's so important for our community to see, to hear the candidates such as yourself, to connect and see what resiliency we have in common with, especially when it's the economy, the taxes, the regulations, and what leadership looks like for all the topics that we just discussed. So thank you for mentioning all of that. And in closing, Diego, what is it that you want the voters to know about you? What qualifies you more than others who might be running and the governor right now in Sacramento?
What qualifies me? I am just like everybody else. I'm a small business owner. I'm an immigrant. I just want what's best for us. What I mean by us is everybody who's living here in California. I've had the honor and the pleasure of working with Assyrian people who have helped me when I didn't know the business that I got into. Tommy Zorro was one of the guys that just stepped up and became like a brother to me. So one thing I have learned throughout my tributes is that if you work hard in this country, you're going to come out ahead and you're going to get and be able to live the American dream just like myself. I want to be able to offer that to other immigrants who are here and other people who are saying, hey, you know what? California, this country's too tough. You know what? One thing that we all come here to do, we work hard, we're going to accomplish anything in life that we want. What makes me different is that I put all my pants on just like the rest of us and I go to work and I'm going to work and I'm going to keep working. When I get to Sacramento, we can have a discussion. I'm available. That's the one difference that you have not seen from anybody else who has been in politics. I am available 24/7 and it doesn't matter what the issue is. I will confront it and we'll sit down and talk, all sides, because not one person has the right answer for what's the right way to do stuff. We talked about that about COVID-19 and the difference in counties. So we need to go to each county and get their opinions. Well, you are the ones who put me in office. You're my boss. There's no other boss. You're my boss. And if you're going to have a protest, if you're going to come to my front door, I'm going to be there. I might not be the most popular person, but guess what? I'm going to stand there and we're going to talk, because everything in this world can be fixed by two people sitting down and talking. Wars have ended because people have sat down and talked and discussed their issues. We have got to be open-minded and we have got to be able to learn how to talk to each other and understand each other and understand what's best for the state, not what's best for Diego Martinez, but what's best for the state. I don't need to run. I want to run, and I want to run because I want to make a difference. And I want other people that come from different countries and different places of the world to be able to have the same opportunity I did, to be able to have capitalism, be able to own your business, be able to live your American dream, because all of our American dreams are different. My American dream was to own a house, to be able to pay my bills, to never go hungry again. Because that's one of the sense in this world is when you go hungry. And I don't want to see people go like that ever again. So that's what makes me different. I've been homeless and I've been hungry. And I've been able to survive. And look at, I'm living the American dream and I'm running for governor of California. And with your support and your viewer support, we're going to get there. And everything's going to turn out for the better.
Thank you, Diego. Those are very wise words and very compassionate words. And thank you for taking time out of your busy day and your campaign to be on the Assyrian National Broadcasting on this program. We hope to hear from you again and bring you more in touch and in contact with members of the Assyrian community to learn from your thoughts and to see how we can also have other virtual town hall meetings with you. Thank you again for joining me today.
Carmen, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here with you. And anytime, I'm more than available to be here with you or anywhere you like. I'm more than happy to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Diego Martinez, candidate for governor, state of California in 2022. Thank you. Join me on the next Modern Assyrian. This is Carmen Morad.